Abhijit Roy, the MD and CEO of Berger Paints, must be a happy man. Abhijit, are you? Because, I mean, I know crude prices fall doesn't immediately impact. You guys must be having long-term hedges in place. But this doesn't look like a one-off decline. There seems to be a structural issue with global demand, which may keep prices lower. And India, the first amongst equals when it comes to large economies with growth, and we are on the cusp of the festive season. Is this a good, potent cocktail that you can hope for?
Yeah, so good morning. Yeah, it looks good as of now. For the margin perspective, definitely this will help. The raw material prices have been modest, I would say. In the last few months, it's not been increasing, relatively stable. In fact, it is decreasing in some of the cases. As the crude prices go down, further decreases are expected. As you rightly said, it will not immediately impact across the board. Some of the raw materials will get impacted immediately. Some will come through in the next quarter because we do hold stock of finished goods and raw materials. So that will impact in the third quarter, but some of it will definitely come in this quarter itself, which will boost the profitability.
Abhijit, so this is interesting because it's a given. Petchem, crude is a key raw material for paint companies. Would you be able to quantify for us what percentage of raw materials stands to get directly impacted on back of crude price movement?
Well, we haven't calculated in that way, but I think, about 35 to 40% definitely will be immediately impacted. The rest will be basically we have some stocks. So, from that perspective, that will carry forward a little bit, into the next quarter. But prices have been dropping in the past as well, so margins will be reasonably decent for the entire paint industry this quarter.
What do you see those margins at, Mr. Roy? And a very good morning to you. This is Tamanna and Amdar here. In Q1, you were at 16.9%, 17% odd. What do you see as the boost to margins as a result of crude directionally being lower most of this quarter?
So this will improve, as I indicated last time also, normally we are in the range of 15 to 17, but this time it will cross that 17% level and will be at a higher level slightly, largely because of the raw material prices softening.
Okay, so a northward of 17%. Anything more specific you would like to add to that?
No, I won't, but it will be definitely better than 17.
Okay. Just want to understand, get a sense from you on, I think, what the whole competitive landscape has been looking like. I think one big factor for your space has been a new entrant. I'm just wondering if you've seen any impact at all, and if yes, to what extent?
So, the large competitor has been, busy getting the distribution in place. So far, it hasn't impacted us in any significant way at all. We carry on with our business, with our dealers, with our set of painters, architects, interior decorators, builders. It will take time. As I have always maintained, it's a slow and steady process. I don't expect, any major changes happening in the paint industry in the immediate context.
So, Abhijit, your Q1 volume growth was healthy at about 12%. We are looking at 2 quarters of some bit of festive demand coming in, at least in this one, and proper festive demand likely coming in. And most of your peers tell us that paints anyways constitute about 1.5% to 2% of the overall house. So it doesn't really matter too much if you take some price increases too. So I would love to know what's the kind of volume growth that you anticipate, per se, ballpark estimates, and could that be accompanied by some price hikes as well, or you don't foresee the need to take price hikes now?
As of now, there is no necessary impetus for us to take any price increase. We have taken one price increase, which was about 2.5% which we took in the month of July and a little bit in August as well. I don't see a need for any further price increase immediately because, as you know, that the raw material prices have softened. So there is no question of, again, taking price increases to offset, raw material price increases. So that's something which is not likely to happen. As far as volume growth is concerned, July was good. August was a bit muted because of the excessive rains across the country, and in rains, that in paint gets affected, especially the exterior paint, gets badly affected. So there were a large number of states, and some of them unusual, like Gujarat, which had excessive rains and flood and all, so August was muted, but September looks good as of now, better than expected, possibly a little bit, so we should bounce back in September quite a lot.
12% Q1, maybe a bit of a slowdown in Q2, but Q3 peak festive, you believe mid-teens kind of volume growth possible?
Yes, I think in Q3, the volume growth will come back to, somewhere around that mid-teen level, possibly.
Mr. Roy, you mentioned that you've already taken a price hike, don't need another one because, of course, crude prices are softening. I'm wondering if you'd go in the other direction and pass on some of those benefits to customers, specifically because now more competition. Yes, your competitor is setting up their distribution, but they'll set it up at some point. Is that something that you have on the table?
No, not really. Tamanna, because these crude prices keep going up and down. You cannot, come to a strategic decision based on current crude prices, because something will happen and then the crude prices move up again in the next 1 month or so. So we have to look at stability of the RM prices. It's not only crude but also the demand supply equation, which is to be kept in mind. As of now, as someone said, just now, that because of slightly modest demand coming in from China and other parts of the country, world, I think there is a little bit of softening of RM prices, but it can change. It can change quite a lot, with the changing scenario in the world. So therefore, I don't see us dropping prices just to ensure that because demand is there, and in the third quarter, as I said, it is going to be reasonably good. So there is no need as well for doing that.
It's also Samina joining in. Let's get beyond margins and let's get beyond crude now. Let's talk shop. Of course, you have this big new player in the market, and it's of course not going to do too much damage, but for the interim, you might have to realign incentives, your distributor pack. All of that may or may not impact your margins or operations. What I also want to understand from you, the other way to deal with that is to diversify your portfolio. And of course, the different product offerings that you have. So help me with this. Break down your portfolio across decorative, industrial, and automotive paints. What is the growth you're expecting? Where do you think the alpha is going to come from? And also talking about diversification, what about verticals like waterproofing, wood coatings, protective coatings? Because that's the upcoming areas you want to go out and exploit, I would imagine, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. So though there is a intensification in competition, as you said, little bit, in the decorative side, but there are areas of opportunity as well for us. We are the #2 player even in decorative, and growing market share every quarter. For the last 4 quarters, we have gained market share actually. So in decorative, there is a lot of space for us in terms of distribution network itself. So that by itself should grow at a reasonable pace for us. We are focusing on the urban areas where we have been relatively much weaker, and we have set up a separate team for that. And we are working hard in getting our distribution network in place in the urban locations. And I think, we are getting good positive results already from these markets. The second part is, as you rightly said, in terms of construction, chemical and waterproofing and protective coatings. In protective, we are the leader in India, and we have been a leader in India for the last 50, 60 years. This is a legacy of our British heritage, and we continue to have a good position here, and we would like to exploit that. Because of the infrastructure spends, the demand has gone up a little bit, and we would like to retain our position in the protective coatings and have good growth, incremental growth coming out in that particular segment. The third is, construction, chemical and waterproofing, where we started our journey about 5 years back, but we have moved rapidly. We are in the top 4-5 players in India today. We will be in the top 3 definitely by the end of this year. So we are looking at, accelerating our growth in this segment. The growth rate has been much higher than paints in waterproofing and construction chemicals, and that will be retained by us.
One last follow-up on this, right? So while you as a company cannot control what happens to your input cost to a great extent, because there's also logistic cost that goes in. What you can control is what you set out for Berger to do over the next 1 to 2 years. Now, which product, which market segment is going to be the biggest growth driver for Berger Paints? And also, how significant is the export market for you? Is that a market space you would consider, you look at? Is that a big talking point in your board meetings?
So, it's not significant as of now, but we are focusing on the industrial exports, which we see as a possibility, possibly a little bit of construction chemicals as well. So these two, it's not so much of decorative paints which can possibly be exported, but definitely industrial, especially protective coatings, where we have a very strong standing in India. We have started looking actively at the export market. So that's one point which we are looking at. In terms of possible growth opportunities, as I said, there are three major ones. One is the decorative in the space of basically geographical expansion, especially in the south and the west, and more so in the urban markets. So that's one big opportunity of growth for us. The second is the construction chemical and waterproofing segment, where India is poised for rapid growth in this segment itself. So the segment growth, and along with that, we have a very interesting range of products in this segment, and I think we should get very good growth out of this particular area.
Okay. Abhijit, Roy, we wish you all the best for the festive season, upcoming competition, and more. Thanks so much for tuning in, and all the best with the times ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.